Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So it looks like we might actually have some clarity on who's responsible for the most devastating bit of environmental terrorism that the world has probably ever seen. So a massive revelation just popped up on the PBD podcast. If you guys don't watch them, you should. And he just shared a video of General Stanley McChrystal, where the general is basically candidly talking to someone and talking about who might have benefited from the destruction of the NordStream 2 gas pipeline last September. And he definitely has some opinions on who definitely did not do it. And that's, like you and me, Russia. Russia definitely, allegedly did not do that. So let's take a look at this crazy video. Before we do that, guys, thanks so much to everyone that's been subscribing and leaving positive comments. Really appreciate the support. And if you haven't already, help us with the algorithm. Help us grow, help us get our message to as many people as possible. And please like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. Every time you do, a leftist loses their wings. So check this out.
We get a breaking news video that gets sent to us. Okay, well, we had to talk to our lawyers before we released it. Valuetainment broke this video just earlier today, a couple hours ago. Before we did, we emailed General McChrystal, because it's General McChrystal in the video talking about NordStream pipeline, okay, and what happened to it. I don't believe we got a response back from him. We'll play the clip. So here is General McChrystal, and a gentleman in DC got this footage in DC, sends this video over to us. If you can play this clip.
There's no obvious better solution in Russia. I think Putin ought to go, but there's nobody that I'm aware of standing on the wings.
It seems like there's a lot more radical people standing on the wings too, which is concerning. Like, remember the whole NordStream thing? Like, in the beginning of that, I was like, oh yeah, Russia did it, but I don't know. Who do you think did that?
My son is the leader of the energy team at DIA. He didn't think that the Russians did it.
DIA?
Defense intelligence.
So
He
like
didn't
CIA,
think that the
DIA, except for
Ukrainians
defense.
officially did it either. I mean, there are people who benefited from it, and that was people who produce natural gas around the world.
Listen.
So if you really want to get conspiracies,
Some corporate.
the United States made more money off that deal than anybody else.
Benefits,
right? But yeah, but that's, because we were huge beneficiaries, and we changed our policy. We started providing liquid natural gas, overseas, and, there's no...
I don't know if you guys realize what he just said right there. So a four-star general. My interpretation, I want to get yours, Dave. Interpretation, America was behind possibly Nord Stream pipeline, coming from a four-star general who worked under Obama, by the way, just so everybody knows.
So Stanley McChrystal, he isn't just some low-ranking regular guy. He's a highly decorated four-star general who once led the International Security Assistance Force, the ISAF, during the war in Afghanistan. And full disclosure, I have literally absolutely no clue what that is. But McChrystal, he indirectly supports the idea that was dismissed by most of our American media and all of our politicians. I'm sure you remember, they were real quick to ridiculously blame Russia for blowing up their own freaking cash cow pipeline. And they never asked, why would Russia damage its own crucial gas pipeline, which literally provided gas to all of Western Europe right before winter. And not only did they not question it, but they dismissed literally anyone who would question it as some sort of Putin apologist. And anyway, whoever would dare ask the question, they wouldn't stand for it. Anyway, it didn't add up then, and it doesn't make any sense now. So McChrystal, he clearly thinks that the biggest beneficiary from the pipeline not longer existing is us, the United States of America. And remember, the Nord Stream gas pipeline, that's Russia's primary way of selling natural gas to all of Europe. So its destruction would just jack up the cash flow right during a Russian war. What kind of sense does that make? It would also create a huge opportunity in the European market for any nation that could fill the gaps, which is exactly what happened. The Russian-owned Gazprom is what the owner of the pipeline was called, was Europe's biggest gas supplier, and they got absolutely crushed, man. And of course, Gazprom's super important to Russia's economy. There was zero chance that Russia would have ever blown up that pipeline and killed their own company. Really, whoever did blow it up literally committed an act of war, I think, obviously. I mean, it's obvious. And, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy what, in today's day and age, people will believe. And it's crazy what people will ignore, without any real information without any real investigation. In any crime investigation, they're always going to ask who benefits. What's the motive? And it wouldn't make sense for Russia to demolish its own pipeline. If it wanted to play hardball and make an issue for Europe, they would just turn the damn thing off. So who gained the most? Well, not Russia, not Ukraine, not Europe especially. They were in the process of freezing their asses off. No, man, it was by far the United States and international mega corporations. So the Nord Stream pipeline, a lot of people don't fully appreciate, man, was 750 miles of underwater piping, carried 40% of Europe's annual gas. When it got destroyed, you guys probably remember, but if you don't, energy prices went wild, inflation was crippling. If the inflation was any worse, they would have called it Bidenomics or some other crazy name. I don't know how you say Bidenomics in Russian. Probably Bidenomics. But here's the thing, man. Who was asking the United Nations to investigate this and getting denied just a few months ago? Well, if you guess Russia, bingo. You know who denied them, who vetoed it, it was us. So the narrative of theirs, it's not even complicated, man. The words of General McChrystal himself, they basically align with what we've already known or assumed that we know, allegedly known. Now, I want to show you what an independent journalist, Bryce Green, had to say when he got to talk to the United Nations. This is pretty awesome stuff.
Analysts and officials across the West seem to agree on key facts, that the attacks originated from the West, the Baltocs exercises were the staging ground for these attacks, and the U.S. knows a lot more than it is currently sharing. These facts and their implications need to be seriously understood and addressed by both the Security Council and the world's press. Western media is not seriously pressing for answers right now, and this distinction between the U.S. did it and Ukraine did it versions of the story are a distraction.
If you ask me, the U.S. decision to veto any UN effort to investigate this deal only damages the propaganda being put out by the Biden administration and our feckless media, man. Why is it that we have to go to YouTube to hear any of these things? Like a damn underground railroad of information. But anyway, you guys probably remember Tucker Carlson had a conversation a few months ago with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was not shy. He let us know exactly what he thought of this lazy anti-Russian smokescreen. He was surprisingly actually diplomatic about it. But if you don't remember, let's take a look at this. Let's have a little reminder of that. It's pretty good.
So the lunatics in the Biden administration promised to blow up Europe's biggest natural gas pipeline, and then Europe's biggest natural gas pipeline got blown up. Who did it? You're not allowed to ask questions, but we wanted to know what Donald Trump thought. He might know. Here he is. Who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline?
I don't want to get our country in trouble, so I won't answer it. But I can tell you who it wasn't, was Russia. How about when they blamed Russia? They said Russia blew up their own pipeline. You got a kick out of that one, too. It wasn't Russia.
Pretty diplomatic answer for a man who's supposed to be crazy.
So here's the thing, man, about Nord Stream that even the craziest climate alarmist leftists don't ever want to talk about. It was probably the most catastrophic non-nuclear environmental incident in the history of the world. And the same people who are always concerned about climate change and ocean pollution are either silent So here's the thing about Nord Stream that even the craziest climate alarmist leftists don't ever want to talk about. It's probably the most catastrophic non-nuclear environmental incident or tragedy in history. The same people who are always concerned about climate change and ocean pollution, they're either silent or quietly downplaying, simple facts about this disaster. Why? Why do they do that? Some scientists, in Europe especially, they're even calling it the methane apocalypse. And apparently more than 115,000 tons of natural gas escaped the pipeline in just under a week. And for just a little bit of perspective, we would literally need to plant over 580 million trees to absorb that much carbon. So why are the carbon credits people not wanting to talk at all about any of this? I think you guys, you've got to see exactly what I'm talking about to really appreciate what is going on here. Look at this. So yeah, man, this thing is super complicated, and really it's pretty interesting. I've enjoyed looking into this. It's amazing to me the things that get completely ignored in this world. Epstein's client list, alleged Biden bribery, and the NordStream freaking pipeline, man. Luckily, there are people willing to talk about it and people really invested in figuring it all out. One of the best investigative journalists in history, probably, Seymour Hersh, he published a Substack about it in February. It basically claimed it was the United States that destroyed the Nord Stream in a covert diving operation. Of course, as usual and as expected, the powers that be, they called him a crazy conspiracy theorist back then, but now a lot of what he said is actually gaining traction. You know, Hersh, he suggests that the Biden administration spent months planning how to carry out a super secret mission, and they prepared even a media storm to distract the public from what was really going on. And one of the most interesting things here is how easily, man, the people in power were willing to compromise a NATO ally's energy supply for their own interests. Germany, after going pretty wild with environmentally friendly energy policies, they were already hurting, man. Even with the Russian gas, you know, they were still hurting then. Now, they can't turn on the old coal fast enough, dude. And, you know, anyway, those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. Let me know why you think that there really is no discussion or debate on any of this. Let me know what you think actually happened. And guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, most importantly, share. Common Sense Garage. We'll see you in the next one.